You are listening to the ReRACEables podcast. Hello and welcome to the ReRACEables podcast. We are here tonight for the season 33, episode 10 finale, and everyone is here. Let's give it up for the finale.
Woo! Yeah!
We are here. The ReRACEables crew is here tonight. I have with me Josh, Nicole, and Lizzie. Woo! Welcoming everyone. This is so exciting. I'm happy everybody's here.
Yeah!
So are we.
So let's jump right into it. Kim and Penn, they win the race. They win the season. Why did Kim and Penn win?
They didn't make mistakes. They ran a perfect leg. They didn't try to go too fast. They trusted themselves. They trusted each other. They did everything that you're supposed to do when you are that far in the race, and it paid off.
Kim's note-taking also played a big role. They were neck and neck with Raquel and Cayla, and yet it's because they have that eye for detail they were able to discriminate, pick out the correct pictures.
Trust. They trusted each other and they trusted themselves. Every other team doubted themselves. Every other team second guessed. They always knew that they were going to win.
I think it comes down to their relationship. First, second, fifth, last leg, doesn't matter. I think their biggest strength, and I think they had this strength over any other team, is that their relationship was the strongest.
Absolutely.
And as a result of their relationship being the strongest, well, let's think about why. Because their communication was the strongest, they understood each other, they were able to communicate what their needs were in every roadblock, in every task, whether it was solo, whether it was a tandem one. They were able to kind of take the lead or take the back seat and work together better than anyone by far.
Agreed.
And I think that that's what stood out. And again, I don't think it's a coincidence that in a final three of a married couple for 17 years, I think it was?
At least, yeah.
At least something like that. That their relationship is going to be the strength that puts them, I think, over the top the whole season, but especially in that last moment where Penn knows, okay, Kim's got this. I'm going to rely on her, and we're going to put our heads together, and we're going to do this over the best friends in Raquel and Cayla and Dusty and Ryan.
Yep.
Kim and Penn finish first, second, first. Also, it should be noted in their return since the COVID leg and we restarted the race. Pretty damn impressive overall. From top to bottom, from beginning to end, Kim and Penn I think they were perfectly cast as an Amazing Race team, first of all. They're this internet sensation, but they're fun about it. They're quirky about it. They're huge personalities, yet subtly funny. They have immense skill sets in so many different areas. Again, like I said before, their relationship. I just think that they're fun. They're younger than they look, even though they're now the oldest team. I think Dusty pointed that out after they won. Even though they're the oldest couple to win, they seem so much younger. And I think it all goes back to their communication, their relationship, their love for one another, and how they talk with each other and how they interact. Super impressed by them.
They're uniquely qualified to do Amazing Race tasks.
They are.
Yes, go on.
They just have these skill sets that are just very specific to things that you need to be good at the Amazing Race.
Is there something that comes to mind most of all when you say that?
Navigating. They were amazing navigators.
Definitely far and away the best. People followed them. They never really were asking anyone else for help.
They're very good at performing anything.
Donald, where's your trousers?
Singing, dancing, choreography with a flag, sound effects.
Yeah.
They're very good. Or even the eye for an artistic thing with copying, whether it be a cake or sardine painting or a puzzle. They just have a good eye for things, eye for detail, and
And their parents, they have to have that eye for
Yeah.
detail, right?
Yeah.
They also have to have that patience as parents and patience with each other. I can only imagine what it's like to live with your partner, work with your partner, parent with your partner, so they know the ins and outs of each other like the other teams don't, in a way.
COVID with your partner.
COVID,
Yeah.
yeah.
19-month COVID break in race with your partner.
Right. I feel like they've been through everything together and they've seen the best and the worst, and because of that, they know strengths and they know weaknesses, and they're able to pick each other up when the other needs it without saying anything, really. I feel like it was very seamless. We never saw them get into an argument. Ever they fighted.
Yeah.
Ever. And I feel like it takes years of practice to kind of just understand each other without having to have that external conflict.
This is a good testament to just their communication. I feel like often we overlook the older teams,
Definitely.
mostly because of strength, but there is something to being older and having an understanding of that complex relationship with each other and also about themselves. They know they were so smart in those moments when they were like, I feel my anxiety acting up, or this is a challenge that I'm really good at, or I'm so happy because I know how hard that fear is for her and I want to support her in that. And that was really beautiful to see those that side of being older versus the being yelled at or not being able to run and keep up or physical inabilities.
And I think we talk a lot about the obvious stuff like a physical capability. I know I said it about Dusty and Ryan. We all probably said it, right? Because at times we're kind of blinded maybe by that in some cases. But to your point, Josh, I think about Nicole and I being in a relationship. I think about you and Josh and Lizzie, you and Lizzie being in a relationship. And thinking about if we ran the race now versus if we ran the race 10, 12, 13, 15 years from now, who would be the better version of running the race?
Yeah.
Like us today or us 15 years from
Yeah, us in year 3, 4, 2, 3, 4 of our relationship, or us like Kim and Penn in year 15, 16, 17, 18, 19 of your relationship.
Well, I feel like if I knew I was going to go on the Amazing Race, I would start working out for sure. Kim and Penn work out, you can tell.
Yeah.
But I think to their advantage mostly is the communication thing and just years of understanding each other, and so I think that carried them farther than the physical abilities of either of them.
Mm-hmm.
So, if that's the case, then yeah, I would bank on 15 years down the road, Josh and Lizzie team. I would bank on that for you guys too, because I just think you'd have an easier time with everything. Like we said, like them navigating, that doesn't have anything to do with you being strong.
Nope.
You know, and I think that, especially now in like seasons 32, 33, that's what they're focused on more. In the earlier seasons, it was like, push this boulder up a hill or count a bunch of numbers. It was like either you pick the physical thing or you pick the mental thing. But now I feel like it's a little more evenly balanced.
Going off what Lizzie was just saying, I actually think that I was going into this season thinking that it was going to be a COVID bubble, and the travel was not going to be a part of the show. The challenges were going to be. It was almost going to be like going from warehouse to warehouse or having a flight to another. And I think what we experienced is watching Kim and Penn. They were the best navigators, and navigation was huge in this season. It was absolutely huge. Every other team got lost many times, including Arun and Natalia.
Yeah.
Like over and over and over again, and that was really exciting about this season, like being still in a pandemic, even as much as restrictions like release, there is that sense of travel and flight that is really exciting to watch on TV.
And don't forget too, because of the staggered starts, right? Roll your eyes. We could talk about that all whatever, but the point is that because of the staggered starts and Kim and Penn's finishing first, second, leading into the final legs and leading into each leg, they had 15 minutes or a half hour on every team, and so if you navigated well, like they did, you never gave up that lead.
It's true.
And if you communicated well or you knew which painting to pick, whatever the task may be, and you could differentiate who needs to take what role, boom, you were able to keep that lead and never kind of fall back in the pack. And I think the greatest example of proving that point, Aruna and Natalia, like you said. They couldn't navigate. They fell behind, 17 times it seemed. Crazy.
This commercial break is brought to you in part by TribalCouncilBlog.com. Be sure to visit all of our social media websites and give us a like or a follow or a subscribe. And don't forget to outlike, outcomment, and outshare the rest. Thanks for all your support.
Switching gears. Kim and Penn win. We talked about that. Second place. Raquel and Cayla. Could have been the fourth all-girl team to win. They are not this. They finished second, first, second. But that last second, what's the feeling in the LA Galaxy football soccer stadium? You were at the final memory quiz challenge. You were putting the tennis rackets on there. You were there at the same time as Kim and Penn, and you just didn't get it done.
Well, they even got there before Kim and Penn.
Yeah.
Well, yes, they got there before, and then the two of them, mano a mano, right there on the tennis court. Boom. Oh, like.
Oh, yeah. And watching them leave, knowing that they were going through that tunnel to go win.
Hearing that.
Oh.
Hearing the cheer, like, we got it, right? Game, set,
So
even that. How about how dramatic? You're on a tennis court, right? It's a little more dramatic than if they were on the soccer field with it, because you have the game, set, match. And in that moment, boom, it's over. You're getting second place. No $1 million.
What a letdown.
Yeah.
It just sucks. Like,
Ugh.
no other way to put it. They ran a great race. They just didn't win the one that counted. They know that. But I think that they did their very best up until the end. I will say, I feel like the mistakes that they were making on the tennis court were very reflective of the mistakes if they made mistakes during the race, it was that same kind of one. It was like they got overconfident, and then they started second guessing themselves, and then they overthought, and that's where the mistakes came in. And I feel like when they made mistakes throughout the race, it was that same kind of thing.
The pressure got them a little bit. You heard them say maybe 3 or 4 times, is this how we lose the Amazing Race?
Yeah.
This is how we lose the Amazing Race?
Yeah.
Staring at each task.
Yep.
I don't think it was a roadblock or anything. The piñatas or the wall, the tennis rackets.
And changing things that they got right
Yeah.
initially, and it was because they kept changing those things that they couldn't quite get it. Yeah.
Going back to the relationship thing, right? At the tennis rackets, Kim and Penn, no, okay. Kim knew this. She took notes. She's got it going. She's taking the lead. She's the front runner. She's the Batman to this Robin, right, of Penn. In that moment, is it harder for Raquel and Cayla because they have to, who's taking the lead here? Who's running? Who's the alpha in this task?
Absolutely. I think what really won it for Kim and Penn was when Kim was saying, great, we knew that everything else was correct. We didn't know which coin it was, and we're going to go in order, and we're going to try it. Bing, no, bing, no, bing, no. Same thing with what Penn did with the not knowing the numbers of the columns.
Yes.
And he just turned it into a logistical organization and focused on that and fixated on that, instead of being a floppy goose like Raquel and Cayla were.
There was always strategy.
Yes. Oh, yes.
Always a strategy. If you can't get it by knowing it, then you're going to find a strategy to accomplish it.
And a mindset to accomplish it, right?
Yeah.
Turning it from one type of task to another task.
Kim and Penn never did is this how we lose the Amazing Race?
Yeah.
Like, they
Never.
didn't really ever have that mindset. Dusty and Ryan had that mindset all the time, even worse than Raquel and Cayla. And look how far they fell behind. You know, it's like, I'm not saying mindset is everything, but I feel like it goes a lot farther than people think. I say as if I've run this race, but
So let's go there. Why did Dusty and Ryan finish third? Once the restart, I think, I may be wrong, third, fourth, third.
yeah, is that right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Something like that.
They seemed like such strong front runners, and I guess they were like when it was everybody before COVID hit, but
Dusty's head.
Ultimately.
Dusty's head drove them to combustion. That was it. They couldn't ever come back from it.
Yeah.
He got too hot-headed. Everything became this emotional game, whereas Kim and Penn were very logistical and organized, and they were excited and fun, but they never let their emotions take a hold of them. They were always in control, and they controlled the race the entire time, even when they didn't win.
Yeah, and I mean, looking specifically at this leg, the elevators really tripped them up.
Ugh.
That in a major way.
Yeah.
It was something so far that they could not recover from, like right from the get-go.
Right, they're at the Westin Hotel. They start on the roof. They have to go and find something that goes up and down that will unlock, gives them a code and unlock a clue box, and they couldn't find it.
Which, again, be logistical. Think about it. Take a second, take a deep breath, and think about what the clue says. Don't just go run up and down every single flight of stairs. Or, like I said, run around with a goose cut with their head cut off.
I think about Dusty and Ryan too. Like, imagine if Ryan wasn't on the race and it was Dusty and
Like someone like Dusty.
no, just Dusty and, let's say, his girlfriend or his wife or somebody that isn't his best friend.
Oh, God.
And somebody that isn't his best friend that's wired like Ryan is.
That's Connie and Sam.
I was gonna say who was the maniac guy from like season 6 or 7?
Jonathan and Victoria?
Yes.
Oh,
Victoria. I mean, maybe all right, Dusty. I don't think you would go that far, my man. But
No, Jonathan was mean.
yeah, he was a dick. But the point I'm trying to make is that Dusty couldn't run over Ryan.
That's true.
Right? He
That's
couldn't
true.
run over Ryan. And
Yeah.
I think, like Dusty acknowledges the whole season, that Ryan and him were balancing each other out. And I think that's how they even got to third place. And when physical strength played a major role, they kind of were able to finish in the beginning, especially with their first places. But when it came to just the Westin Hotel and looking out to the other elevators, thinking up and down, what does that mean? Picking up the clue and thinking and taking that second, like you said, Josh, they could never quite do that.
Ever. And I mean, what was the milk making challenge? Was that it?
Yep, the cheese.
That's it. The cheese making challenge.
Yep, that
They
was
just
where
got
it
too
started.
hot-headed, too crazy, and couldn't settle down and think and do something by like following the
Yep.
directions.
And they were able to get away with that one where they switched detours. Then Ryan took over,
And just
outran
did his
Akbar
macho-
in his
yeah,
size
exactly.
16 shoes and wetsuit, 375 pounds. But
So I think the way to describe Dusty and Ryan is that their physical abilities kept them in the race.
Correct.
It's not what made them a front runner of the race. The only reason they weren't out is because of their physical strength. But that's not what made them do good. That's just what got them from being eliminated. And in this race, all you have to do is not be eliminated until the end. But I think that's why they got as far as they did. It's because they were able to keep themselves from being out.
But I feel like it's interesting that everybody considered Dusty and Ryan to be the threat.
we all did.
No one,
Yeah.
We all did.
but like including the other teams.
Oh,
on
yeah.
The Amazing Race.
Great
like
point.
They all looked at Dusty and Ryan and looked at them as the threat, the team to beat. No one said that about Kim and Penn.
So does Kim and Penn win in part because Dusty and Ryan are in this race at all?
Like distraction away from,
Yeah, they were the target. Nobody would have helped Dusty and Ryan with directions except Anthony and Spencer once upon a time, the other all-male team, but those guys didn't come back, right? And then who did we see help each other navigate in some points in the middle parts of the race? Kim and Penn, Raquel and Cayla.
But there was hardly any of that.
True.
That's what I was saying. It was everybody was running their own individual race. I mean, we've seen seasons where, last season even, they made packs and helped each other out to get to the end, and we did not see any even ounce of that. It was a very, very single game because we started with 6 teams left. Essentially, that's the way it was.
Yeah.
6 teams left. You can't even say hi to somebody else because you're going to help them out.
especially when you take out all elements of travel. There's no like, oh, well, I'll save you this seat on wherever, or there's no negotiating power with travel if you just all start and then you do challenges and then that's it. I guess there was like the self-driving thing, but that doesn't really have anything to do with other teams because it's self-driving. So you're all in your own car and you're not talking to each other. I missed that element this season of having to get yourself from country to country or catching flights and this and that.
That took away from it from you?
Yeah.
There was also no U-turns or any
Speed bumps.
like no situations that like facilitated teams turning on each other. It was very much everybody just ran their own race and that was it.
Do you
The
think
show-
they did that because of COVID?
No.
I
don't
think
think
if they
so.
wanted
I think-
to do that, they could have.
I think the show is so uninterested in that. There's so much drama on TV. There's so much drama in the world. The only thing that The Amazing Race wants to be is a fun escape for you to not think about anything else. And by adding U-turns and drama, like I don't think the producers want that.
This commercial break is brought to you by TribalCouncilBlog.com. Head over to our website, check us out on our social media accounts that you see scrolling on your screen, and give us a like, a follow, and don't forget to outlike, outcomment, and outshare the rest. Thanks for your support.
Winning 33, is it tainted? Is there an asterisk? Or is it the same win as any other?
I don't know. I mean, does a team like Arun and Natalia get to the Final Four? Would you consider, if you look at Amazing Race Final Four for every other season, would you say that they are on par with Final Four?
No.
So
if Arun and Natalia won,
No.
no, I'm saying they came in fourth place this season.
right?
If you look at fourth place of every other Amazing Race season,
it does not compare.
it doesn't compare. So
I say no also.
then you really think about it, and it's like, is winning that hard? I mean, not that it's easy, but as compared to other seasons, when you're also dealing with travel and you're also dealing with 12 teams and you're also dealing with traveling to X amount of countries, what does this look like? What does this season compare to that? I don't know. I mean, to me, it does seem easier. Does it discredit winning? I don't know. Does Kim and Penn win in a typical season? Probably. They're a good team.
I agree. I think Kim and Penn would have held their own. If not win, I think still be in the top 3 because of all the reasons that we said at the beginning. And I think that they held on to their momentum, and I think they would have done that in, like a regular 11 or 12 legs.
What about the original 11 teams that started the race? Would Kim and Penn win if we never went into COVID?
I still think they're right there. I still think they're in the final 3. I still think Raquel and Cayla are in the final 3. I don't know,
agree.
Dusty and Ryan. I feel like from what we saw in the 10 legs that we saw, especially the last 6, maybe they could have beat one team, but maybe in a top 5 had one of these slip-ups that we saw the last 3, 4, 5 legs. But I think Lulu and Lala wouldn't have gotten there. I don't know who would have replaced them. I think that's fair to say also.
Connie and Sam?
I don't know. It's hard to say. It's hard to say, especially because how strong Kim and Penn were, how strong Raquel and Cayla were. It's hard to say. I think Anthony and Spencer might have been, because they were coming out guns blazing, but they were very much in the working together with Dusty and Ryan. Who knows? Maybe that develops into an alliance and they stick together the whole time. Hard to say, but I think your point is a good one, Josh. That no matter if it's the COVID season or a regular season, I think Kim and Penn, Raquel and Cayla, top 2 teams, are right there every single time. I do. I think they had everything.
I think so too.
Right?
We know one team who's not going to be in the top 2. Mike and Mo. we gotta give a special shout out to coming in last place.
Mike and Mo
twice.
did come in last each time they raced. Really, but But that's a great juxtaposition, right? You have them who did get a second shot. And we always talk about multiple chances. If you had it 1,000 times, what would happen?
You always say that.
Mike and Mo, they had 2 chances. Boom, boom, last. They just weren't cut out for it, right? And I don't think it's a coincidence also that the top 2 teams, and I think this is kind of cool, that the top 2 teams were teams that never got a second life. Except for the COVID restart. I guess everybody got the second life. But Kim and Penn never got a non-elimination lucky break, nor did Raquel and Cayla.
Yeah.
It's nice that they finished first and second.
Mike and Mo, it's funny because I talked earlier about how Kim and Penn are like uniquely qualified to be good at Amazing Race. Mike and Mo are uniquely unqualified.
I think they would have to agree with you.
I'm sure they're wonderful people.
They are. They do great.
Wonderful, amazing racers.
No, I mean, look, one of them's 6'6",
He's
gigantic
too big.
person.
Protecting our city. Yeah.
Right, he's too big, and they just were not attention to detail guys. But anyway, enough about Mike and Mo. Last place. No. This is not about them right now. This commercial break is brought to you by TribalCouncilBlog.com. Head over to our website, check us out on our social media accounts that you see scrolling on your screen, and give us a like, a follow, and don't forget to outlike, outcomment, and outshare the rest. Thanks for your support. All right, we're back from our break, and we're talking the final leg. Season 33 winners, Kim and Penn, Raquel and Cayla second, Dusty and Ryan third. So those are the top 3. That's how it finishes out. And as you know, if you've been following the podcast all season long, we started it with a power ranking system, got interrupted because of the COVID shutdown and the restart of the race. But restarted the race, we restarted the power rankings, and Josh, go ahead, tell them what we've come up with.
So for our power ranking systems, we all rank from first to last who we think will win the race and who we think will come in last place. And as each week a team gets eliminated, we cross them off and we take the numbers that are left. So if you think that a team is going to come in first place, they're 1 point. If you think they're going to come in last place, that's 11 points. And if someone who is in 5th place gets eliminated, you will add up all of the numbers, not including the 5 because they were eliminated. The person with the lowest amount of points is the person that has guessed the most correctly. And this does kind of work in an average sense. So after the COVID shutdown or the COVID break, we knocked off all of those teams and then re-simplified 7 teams that were left. And
So the max score is 28, and then once a team was knocked off, like Mike and Mo were off first, I started at 28. They were my 6th ranked team and went to 22.
There you go.
So, final standings for the top 3, which means the top 3 was Raquel and Cayla, Dusty and Ryan, Kim and Penn. In first place, tied for first, and we nailed it, Lizzie, was you and I. We had the top 3 in the adjusted rankings after the restart, with Raquel and Cayla, Dusty and Ryan, and Kim and Penn in the top 3. So kudos to us. Kudos to us for having the top 3 locked in. In 3rd place was Nicole with 9.
Woo!
In 4th place was Josh with 11, and in dead last was Jeremy Stein with 12. Jeremy. Well,
Jeremy, who cannot be with us tonight, he's in tech for a show. God bless him. I know he wishes he could be here.
don't feel too sorry for him. The winner of our power rankings competition with the low score of 2 points, it's a tie, is Lizzie and Jeremy.
Woo! Jeremy, this is a high 5. With us, even though you're not here.
Jeremy and Lizzie both are our winners with a low score of 2. They had Kim and Penn in their 2 spot. I came in 3rd. I had Kim and Penn in the 3rd spot. Nicole had them 4th, so she gets 4. And Josh, dead last, with a low score of 6. Lizzie, your thoughts on a 2nd consecutive final winner standings win? You had Will and James in the 1 spot. You nail it again here. You tie with Jeremy for having Kim and Penn in the adjusted rankings. Number 2, good.
I appreciate you bringing that up because I was about to jog everybody's memory that I had Will and James pegged in one last season. I have to say, I haven't always been good at this. When we were watching some of
What season was it?
Some of the first seasons, Ari and Joe, I remember their names. I can't
Avi.
remember Avi.
Avi and Joe.
I thought they were gonna win. I can't remember what season this was. It
6.
was like, something
6.
like that. I was like, they're shoo-in. Out first, immediately.
Yeah.
So, I say that to humble myself. I say that to make everyone else feel better. That, we go through phases. Some people are good at things, some people aren't. Some people learn, and I'm a person that's learned.
I love when Josh has to take off his glasses to wipe the tears from his eyes.
I forgot about that.
And I like making my boy laugh.
Yeah.
I'm very proud of myself.
Well, congrats to Lizzie and Jeremy for having Kim and Penn the highest ranked. We should acknowledge, actually, going all the way back to the preseason rankings, that if we're doing it technically, the real winner is Jeremy. He did have Kim and Penn number 2 at the beginning of the season behind Rue and Natalia. And then he had Mike and Mo. So he had Mike and Mo and Rue and Natalia sandwiched, having a Kim and Penn sandwich there. So
how could he be so right but so wrong?
Just like that. So congrats to Lizzie. Congrats to Jeremy. We'll be back after this commercial break. Stay with us. We're talking more finale. Stay with us. This commercial break is brought to you by TribalCouncilBlog.com. Head over to our website, check us out on our social media accounts that you see scrolling on your screen, and give us a like, a follow, and don't forget to outlike, outcomment, and outshare the rest. Thanks for your support. We are back on the ReRACEables podcast. Let's talk the last memory quiz challenge. As we've seen in seasons past, there's always that final leg, final challenge that kind of tests cumulative knowledge. In season 32, it was the music with the different countries.
The music instrument cases.
Yep, and you had to put them in order. It was 4 different ones, and it ended up burning Gary and D'Angelo, and we saw what happened. And this one is a memory quiz. They're in LA Galaxy Stadium in the tennis courts. There's this trifold memory board with a big 2 giant baskets of tennis rackets, and then written on tennis balls on the walls are riddles. Something like, you painted this, or something you ate, right? And you had to dig through the rackets to find the right picture on the face of the racket to hang on top of the tennis ball written.
It was a good final cumulative challenge. I like that it incorporated pictures but also phrases, and I liked that there were more pictures than there were riddles, so they had to decipher between the face of the coin or the backs of the coins, and that made it more challenging.
Napoleon's hat in this
Right.
picture versus Napoleon's hat in
Big
this
hat
picture.
versus little hat. I thought it was good.
I thought it was easier than past memory challenges that we've seen. I thought it was kind of just like a big game of Pictionary a little bit. Like you take the picture and put it with the words, and I say that maybe because I think I would have been good at it. I just think we've seen harder challenges than this one.
Well, and people also have different types of memory. Some people have a stronger memory for numbers. Some people have a stronger memory for words. Some have a stronger memory for images. So this may have played into some people's strengths more than others.
Mm-hmm.
So what's this challenge really testing?
I think one can argue patience. I think that's where Raquel and Cayla lost it. Because it wasn't knowledge. It wasn't knowledge. I mean, you knew that there was a coin under the rock, but you didn't know exactly what it looked like. Kim and Penn didn't even know what it looked like, but they stayed calm, cool, and collective as they tried to figure it out and move towards a different solution. Whereas I think Raquel and Cayla kind of lost their heads.
I also think confidence in yourself. Like, I know right off the bat, Kim and Penn were like, this is here, this is that, this is this. And I think, yes, they have good memories, and yes, Kim took notes down, but there were so many things that they just knew right off the bat. And then the first time they got a fault, they went back and second guessed things that they had just automatically known. And so I think having trust in yourself was a big part of this, because later they went back and Kim was like, no, I know there was a roof on this car. And so then she went back and immediately changed it. Like, it was silly she even second guessed herself in the first place. So I also think being confident in yourself was a big part of this too. And like Josh said, Raquel and Cayla weren't quite as much.
It's a fair challenge. It's a good challenge. But I wonder if there was a way to kind of hack it, where if you stayed calm, like you said, Josh, and you did all the easy ones. I think both teams, probably Kim and Penn and Raquel and Cayla, both kind of said that. Okay, what are the ones we definitely know, right? Or what was it? You painted this. Like the sardine can went up there.
Yeah.
And they had to probably fish out the one that they actually painted. And there was, because there was some burners or some throwaway rackets also in there. But there was the reason I say hack it, meaning like there was only so many tennis racket picture things in the bucket. There was only so many coins in the bucket.
Sure.
There was only what, like 3 or 4 at max? There was only so many Napoleons. Yes, you had to figure out which one you messed up, but I guess that's what it came down to. And the show was as good an ending as you could want. So you have 2 teams at the final challenge, trying to see who's gonna put the tennis rackets up there first, and who's gonna land on the right combination with the back of the coin first. And it just happened to be Kim and Penn. And you're right, Josh. I think ultimately it comes down to they were more confident in that moment. They had more poise in that moment. They had Kim driving the bus in that moment. That kind of attitude, it made all the difference.
I think also Raquel and Cayla didn't seem like they really knew the show that well. And yeah, they were racing, they raced well, but I feel like Kim and Penn like have seen other teams collapse under that type of pressure, and they knew that that was something that you needed to not do. And I don't know, I think that there's something to that just like sensibility of the race and bigger picture that Kim and Penn had throughout the whole race that the pretty much all the other teams didn't have, including Arun and Natalia, who were supposed to be super fans.
What is the biggest lesson learned if you're a future somebody listening out there, or us when we get on the show? What's the biggest thing to learn from this challenge, from Kim and Penn, or from whoever, to take going forward?
If Kim and Penn wanted us to learn anything, it would be communicate with your partner, trust yourself, and do the best you can.
And study.
And study.
I think it's to know yourself and know your partner. Know your strengths, know your weaknesses. Know when to give, know when to take. And using self-awareness within their relationship to drive their strategy and their overall performance.
Ultimately, like we said at the top too, it comes down to the relationship and communicating all along the race as effectively as possible. And I think on top of that, the thing to learn from this challenge, just be a student of the game. And I think that's 2 seasons in a row that we've learned that. Any final thoughts?
I just think that it's been interesting to see the race turn in the last few seasons towards this very energetic, fun, travel, uplifting kind of show versus the kind of like heated moments in the beginning of Amazing Race history when reality TV was just starting and they didn't really know what was going to happen of it besides just doing it. And I just wonder if it's getting to be too edited or getting to be too trying to be something versus letting the content live on its own.
I'm excited to see where the show goes next season. How much will COVID come into play, being all this time later, and seeing how it evolves.
Yeah, I'll piggyback on that. I think something that, like this podcast, has been born out of COVID and will continue to carry on. We all live in different places and can't always get together like we did tonight or like we did for the premiere. And we value being able to get together and have those experiences, but also make the best of what COVID taught us. And I'm really curious what the race learned from the COVID season and see what the race learned and see how that carries forward, and if at all, or does it revert back? We'll see.
Yeah, what elements of this do they keep? Do they keep the private jet? Do they make them go back on regular flights? Is traveling up to them again? Depending on what parts of the world they're in, depending on what state the mask mandates are at. I don't know. I'm
More cities, less cities.
yeah.
The start times.
We were talking about being a student of the game and everything, and I feel like in season 32 there were more chances to show that you knew how the game worked because they had the U-turn, or they had the whatever yield. And if you've seen episodes of it, you know how to use those things when they come upon you. And here, I feel like you really wouldn't have had to see a lot of Amazing Race. There's no way Ryan has watched all 32 seasons of Amazing Race, but he came on the show and he did really great because it was just you read the clue and you do the thing and then you move on. There was no big picture strategy beyond that. I think Kim and Penn were prepared to. I think a lot of teams were prepared to, and they just didn't really get the chance because it was a COVID season. I hope that people in future seasons get to be the student of the game that they want to be, that you want to be, Tom. And so I'm interested to see how that evolves and if that kind of gets to come back.
Well, that wraps up season 33. I want to take this opportunity to thank everybody from the ReRACEables crew. Jeremy, who's not with us tonight, but in our hearts for sure. Thank you, Jeremy. Thank you, Lizzie. Thank you, Josh, for hosting us for the finale here tonight. Thanks for being part of this as much as you possibly could all season long. Thank you, Nicole, for being on every single episode right there alongside. Appreciate that. And thanks, everybody, for being part of this. This is really special. I'm glad we could all come together, both virtually and in person, to help make this happen. And lastly, thanks everyone on all of our different social media platforms, all our followers, for all your support all season long. And be sure, if you like this, to out-comment, and out-share the rest. We will be back on Tribal Council blog next week. Survivor 42 will be starting. Reality TV drama just continues and keeps getting better. We will be back for season 34 at some point, but until then, the blog has spoken. Thanks for being here.